Hi everyone, welcome to Bookish Love with Krystal. I have Caryce with me today. Want to say
Hi.
hi? For those of you watching on Facebook, Facebook, yeah, YouTube, probably on Facebook too. Who knows? We don't, I don't know. Um, if you hear some stuff that we talk about, we're like, oh, face to face, just go watch it on YouTube. If you watch this on Spotify, just go watch it on YouTube. Um, I had to put that up because last couple times I talk a lot and I use my hands a lot, and I've made some
Mhm.
comments about my hands, and everybody's like, "Oh, what in the world?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, my bad." So I'm going to jump right in, Chris, with you and the Raiders promo page, the Raiders community promo page that you do, because if it wasn't for you, A Realm of Wind and Rain would not have been noticed and as well as it did. So that is all
Oh my,
pretty much thanks to you.
I have a as well. Can I just jump in and say something really cool?
Mhm.
My manager at where I work has seen A Realm of Wind and Rain, and I was like, "You'll like that one." She saw it on Kindle Unlimited. We were talking yesterday about it, and it
Mhm.
was really happy because it's like, "Oh my gosh, bonding moment, yes." And another one of our writers that I do promotion for, called Danielle, who had a book called Curse King. She read that, and I'm like, "Well, you'll like this one as well." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I think I've seen it." I'm like, "Yeah, you'll like it." I was just like, yeah, go read it. Go read it. And I was just thinking, I was going through all of our writers and thinking, who else can I recommend? I can recommend this person and maybe this person. Like, but yeah, she saw it, and I'm just like, go read it. It's great.
Oh, thank you. That means so much to me. Oh, what got you started with just putting all of that together for like authors like me? Like you're
So
amazing.
thank you. So when I joined Inkit, I got more involved with community aspect of writing. I met a few really great people who are a part of the page as well, but I also saw a lot of spam, a lot of spammy self promotion on Inkit, and I understand we have to advertise ourselves and stuff, but it didn't seem very effective. And I have seen as well on other platforms, Instagram included, that there's a lot of like, read my stuff, and it's just very spammy and a little bit annoying. Like, I know they probably don't want to come across that way, but it is. And also, one thing I noticed on Instagram is there is a lot of fake promotion pages that
Mhm.
exist that promote work to bot followers and just take a lot of money. And
Mhm.
no matter how many times these pages were getting reported, Instagram wasn't doing anything about it. So I was like, right, I'm going to deal with this myself. Essentially, I was like, right, if they're not going to do it, I was like, F it, I'm going to sort this out. And I just came up with this idea. I had before COVID, I was working in retail, and it was a small business, and I did manage social media for two of their companies, which was Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But I prefer Instagram the most. So I just took my skills, and we did get advised by a proper marketing company, and I would follow that schedule. So I would just apply what I learned there to this as best as I can, and just use the tools and stuff that Instagram gives, and just go from there really with it. And it's done well. Like, it's done something.
Oh, I would definitely say yes. I mean, I've actually kind of a couple indie authors that been talking to a place. I'm like, you need to go talk to this person. You will love them. They are amazing. And but you're not wrong when it comes to the spamming thing, because when I got into it, I I was hesitant on responding to when you did message me, and I'm like, I don't know, because I had already been hit with the, oh well, if you just pay $50, we'll give you this, and I'm just like, oh. So when you were like, no, it's free, I'm like, okay, every author I've spoken to says don't pay for this. She's saying this is free, so then I trust, and I'm glad I did, because
Yeah.
it's hard. And I mean, you write a book, you have a book out
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I promote my own writing on my own social media. I promote my own on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I don't like Twitter. I'm just or X or whatever it's called. I'm just like, no, thank you. But yeah, I know what it is like, and it's just so tiring for people, I think, as well, to think of all the stuff to do. And I quite enjoy it as well. I like it's just something I was surprisingly good at and that I enjoyed when I was doing it. And that the company I did previously work for, one of their social media accounts grew from about 200 followers to 2,000 followers when I was doing it. So it's like, okay, I've got something good at this. But also one thing that does step this page out from the other spam pages is not only is it free, but everyone that you see as a part of it is real. There's no bots, no fake followers, no fake engagement, none of that BS. It's real, because
Yeah.
fake followers aren't going to buy books, fake followers aren't going to share books, they're not going to help writers get out there, whereas real people are going to do it. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's just following a person, or like liking some of their stuff, or sharing one of their posts, like it helps.
It really does. And you're right, that does set you apart. I think every post that you have seen, I've seen nothing but just genuine engagement on, which has been fantastic. You don't see user XYZ, writing, "Oh, go here and like this page," or they're not you don't have bots tagging you in random things constantly, which
Mm.
happens often. I actually with TikTok. It's one of the things I started promoting my book on TikTok a little bit more, trying to delve my hand into it, which is not that great, by the way. But I uh, I notice now that my work's getting out there, and I'm getting out there a little bit more. That now I'm getting all these spamming things, and I'm just like, I'm over this. Why? Like, why isn't there
Yes.
just some filter right now that can be put in place to
Yeah.
stop this?
Yeah,
But
I find it funny as well when I still get companies that try and spam me. I had through I don't know if you know this, but the page does have a website. It was made and gifted to me by a wonderful, wonderful creator called Catherine Holton. And I've been editing it myself. She actually showed me how to work on it. But one day I had this email come through from this company offering an exclusive deal for like getting me more customers, and I'm just like, no, you no, like, first of all, this exclusive deal, you Google their website, it's literally the first thing that appears. So that was a load of rubbish. And like, I've become such a bloodhound for these things as well. I'm like, this is a spam, this is why.
mhm,
Get out and get in the bin, like, do one, honestly. But and I do want to get into more of sharing how to look for those things as well, because some of them are so convincing, and some people just get mugged off. I Some of our friends, I won't friends of the page, and some of the writers, I won't recommend, or I wouldn't recommend pestering them about this, because it's really distressing, and I won't share their names. But one of them was scammed out of quite a bit of money, and I was just literally, I was livid. I was like, they were very young as well, and I'm just like, what is wrong with this person that's done this? Like, it's despicable. And which is why, like, I'll never ever, never charge for it ever,
yeah.
because it's just fun.
Well, I mean, that's good that you have fun doing it. But you know what, you're right. They do scam and they prey on people that are clearly new to the industry. A lot of indie authors. I got an email randomly about some I forget the name of even the company at this point, but I'm in an Instagram like chat room, and there's a bunch of different authors in it as well, and they're like, "Oh, well, if you have questions about anything, just come here, just we'll put all this together." And we talk, and a bunch of us throw out some stuff in there randomly. And I put up the page and I said, "Has anyone ever heard of this book tour?" Because it's what it was. And a couple people were like, "No, no, 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 just do your research into it, blah, blah, blah." And then about an hour later, somebody put in, it was like, "Do not do it," and left like this whole long message of what happened to them because they were green in the industry and they got taken for a lot of money, which is sad because it happens often.
It's honestly despicable when that
Mm.
happens. And like, we do have writers that have different experience. They come from different platforms. They have different um approaches. Like, some are self-published, some are indie, some are a bit of a hybrid. But it is honestly despicable, and that's why in the right we have there's a writers group for this page. We have where you can share things like that. You can share like experiences that you've had. You can share like anything you may have had. I'm in a couple of discords that happens to do the same. And I think it is good to see that though, because it's like we've got each other's back type thing. That's great
Hmm.
to see.
Yeah. Now, does the page have a TikTok?
No, I barely can do the book talk for myself. I don't trust myself to do it for other people yet, but maybe in the future. I don't know. Like it just depends, because I have to get better at that one. Because when I first started doing promotion, like for this company as part of my job, I wasn't like, number one, I wasn't actually properly trained. They were just like, "Oh, do this because you know social media because you're a young person," and I'm like, "Okay." And then, but we didn't do TikTok. I think it was just, I'm not even sure if it was Musically back then still, but yeah. Or if it was, if it was still TikTok, it wasn't as big as it is now.
Yeah. I'm about to say, I don't think it became really popular until 2020. So,
Mm.
but I don't blame you though, because me with TikTok, I'm like, I'm not good at this. Like I create my little things and then just go here out to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just started doing that as well. And sometimes I will make it on one and then I'll just share that on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Mhm.
But sometimes I'm just like, I think this is right. Here you go. Like, happy days. Have a good one. Like,
I'm glad I'm not alone with it because I see all these other authors that are like, yeah, they use everything, and I'm just like, I envy you. I really do because
oh, I
I don't
know.
like. Uh,
So many, I follow so many people that do really, really good stuff with their, not just on TikTok, but on Instagram as well. Like they make really cool reels where they're sharing their work. And I'm just like, I wish I could do that.
yes,
Like,
I'm this. You're good. You're good. I was gonna say I feel the same exact way. I'm just like, well, I give you this little baby thing that I made, and here, I hope you like it.
yeah,
I um
yeah.
I recently just made a trailer for m- Aroma Wind and Rain, and I'm just sitting there like trying to piece it right, and then somebody was like, "You should add like quotes from your book," and I'm like,
It's a
Do
good
you
idea.
understand that it took me 4 hours to make this because I kept second guessing it? And now you want me to add another layer into this?
Actually, it did end up looking really nice in the end. But yeah, I honestly think I'm actually better at promoting other people's work than my own, which is weird. I'm just like, it's my own. I'm just like, no, don't want to do that. I've only this month started to not this month, this last end of last year, beginning of this year, started to take promoting my own work more seriously. Whereas with other people, I'm just like, yeah, this is great. We could do this with it, do that with it. It's absolutely great. Like whatever. I love whatever you do is amazing type thing. Whereas my own, I'm just like,
You
ugh,
cringe at your
cringe.
own stuff. Yep,
Hmm.
I'm the same exact way. I sat there and I was like, I don't know which quote out of the book is my favorite. And everybody who's reviewed it, nobody's like, oh, this is my favorite quote. Like I don't see the Kindle highlights. So like I wish I could see like if people are highlighting specific things, and I'm just like, I would love this because I can't pick a quote that I like out of my own book to put as like promo material. And I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah.
this
I did
sucks.
use a certain bit that's a really, really creepy, and I've had someone say that it just made their skin crawl and it made them feel very uncomfortable. And I'm like, yes, because it's a thriller book, my book, so I'm just a bit like it's meant to like creep you out a bit, but um, I'm just running with that.
So I did stalk this morning because I noticed you had just added me on your main page. And
Yeah,
I was
I was
like,
like, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. That's a bit silly. Like, do it quick.
yeah, well, and I was like, oh wait, I didn't know you had a secondary page. So I was like, oh, let me follow. So I was stalking this morning. The unexpected. What is it all about?
So the unexpected started off as a writing exercise from high school when I was 16 in GCSE literature. My teacher, because we had GCSE literature and then GCSE English literature and GCSE English language, and my English literature teacher, Miss Sladen, she was lovely. She was so supportive, so encouraging, and I wrote the first three, not the first three parts as they are today, but the first three parts, but in a very rough draft in her class. and it's a stalk. So it does have, spoiler alert, a stalker in it.
Mhm.
And instead of being creeped out, she was actually really encouraging. She was really giving me good feedback, and she's like, "You've got something here. You can do really good with it." And I was working on it during her English lessons when we were working on this specific um, project thing for the GCSE literature. We had other stuff to do, but when we were just working on this, she'd literally just let me go and write the rest of it, and I was like, "Cheers!" So um, that's how it started off. The ending was less dramatic than it is now, but it is quite. It just like it just whoa, goes from 0 to 100 really really quickly, and everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Ooh,
But
I like
yeah,
that.
it's set in America, in this very small town. Not a lot happens. It's just really mundane. Like there's a hint of certain things going on in like the next town over, but it's just nothing really happens. So everyone talks about this stuff that happens in the next town because nothing happens. And this girl's just, she lives a really normal life, but then things start to change. She has a stalker, and it's just I wanted to make the reader just really uncomfortable and just like really annoyed at the character almost, because she's a little bit naive. But yeah, it's I'm very very proud of how it has come to be now, because I started, it was something I wouldn't have expected to have published this last year, because I had other projects that are going on. I write in fantasy, I write in action, I write in young adult. I have other romance books. I like horror. I like mythology stuff. So this one was like, it was just kind of there. But then I thought, well, at the beginning of last year, I thought, well, I'm going to do this with this story. Eff it, I'm going to do it. And yeah, at the end of October, I made it happen, and I'm shocked.
Yay. Like I'm so excited for you. I'm just like I kind of like was like I need to get this because I
Oh, thank
and
you.
I wanted to hear your like you talking about it because I like to hear how people describe their own books. Because for me, I can't sum up my book that quick without giving out some type of spoiler, and I'm envious of everyone that can. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm very into it.
Mm. My mum was terrified after she read it. She was, because I when I finally got it out there, I'd been through a breakup, and so I was in the world of dating again, and my mum was just really paranoid because there is some romance elements to it too. But when I was just starting to date, and after she read it, she was just like, "Are you okay?" And, I was like, "I'm fine, I'm fine. I've not had anything like this in real life. Don't worry." But it's also a bit of like a cautionary warning type thing for the, because there's a trope in romance about the stalker character and how in the real world it can be a little bit more, well, not a little, but a lot more dangerous, for want of a better
Hmm.
word. And excuse me. Um, yeah, I kind of did it as a bit more of a that like type thing, like, this is not a good idea. You never know who people can be. Ooh, cautionary thriller story. But yeah, I've had a very very good reaction to it from my mum. I was happy with it, even though she was just really concerned for me. Like, especially when I
I
first
love
started
that.
it, she was just like, "Is he like this character?" And I'm like, "Mum, no, chill."
I love the fact that your mom's so like into it though. Like, excuse me. Like I like that it invoked that. I mean,
Yeah,
I that's got to be a little stressful that it's she's questioning everything, but it's also like that's cool though that she read it though and liked it
yeah, my
because
dad read it as well, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." But I don't think he was as concerned. I think he was just a bit like, I don't know if they discussed it beforehand, and he's just a bit like, "Okay," or if he's just like not wanting to say anything. But yeah, I've had a few family members and friends read it, and like I said, one of my friends said it made him like deeply uncomfortable. Like, you've got the creep factor there, type thing, and I'm like, "That's what I'm going for. Love that. Thank you."
see that's what I like to hear is when you get the feedback from friends and they just go, is your mental well-being all right? It's like, yes, it's completely fine. I I had a couple of my clients at work because I'm a barber, and everybody's like, "Oh, so you have clients read your book? Like men read your book?" And I went, "Surprisingly, yes." And I've gotten quite a few reactions out of the guys, and they're just like the logistics of there's one scene where there's like I don't want to call it an orgy, but I mean it kind of is. And one person was like, the logistics that you get into the detail, like, I need to ask, like, have you ever? And I'm like, no, no, no.
No, the internet,
And most people don't realize there was another author in that Instagram chat, and she was like,
yeah,
oh, if you need help with like positions and stuff, use this website. And I'm like,
I love that.
I love this.
That is
But
amazing. That's such a good resource. Like,
but
oh,
it's so funny though because I do get people that read the book, and I didn't think that my boyfriend, his grandmother is 86 years old. I was showing her the
oh
book, like,
no,
"Oh, look what I did," and she was like, "Oh, this is mine now. Sign it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
oh my
Wasn't
god,
ex wasn't expecting her to actually read it, and I get this card in the mail from her. Not even like she didn't go face to face, it was a card in the mail, and it was like, "I loved it. When is the next one coming out? It's not something I would normally read, but,
oh,
oh, I love it." And I'm just like, "Yay." But also,
yay,
like, next time I saw her, my cheeks were blood red because 'cause I'm just like, "Oh, she knows the inner workings of my brain." But this is also the woman that, for my birthday, gave me a can of whipped cream.
oh,
Yeah, I love them. But,
that is so sweet. I'm just, oh my gosh. I
I
was kind of
gave
like, is this gonna go? This is gonna go like one of two ways. Either she's gonna be like and pass out, or she's gonna be like, I loved it. Like she's gonna be one of the cool grandmas, and I'm like, I love that she's a cool grandma.
so when it released, I got one of my hardbacks in, and I had to wait for it to come in because it took forever, and I signed it, and I took it to my grandmother, and she's 80, she just turned 80, and, it wasn't until her 80th birthday when I took her to her last chemo treatment that she looked at me, she goes,
Oh,
"You know that book you gave me?" I went, "Mhm." She goes, "I didn't know you wrote it. I thought you were just writing your name on the inside so when I died, you got it."
what? What
She
did she
read it.
like?
She read it, she was like, "Oh, I loved it." She was like, "But I have questions." And I went, "I don't think I wanna answer those."
Not right now, Nan. Like, oh gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a bit hesitant to do saucy scenes. I do have one book. It's not The Unexpected. It's another one. It's a parody of 365 Days,
Ooh.
and basically, it's what you should do in a kidnap situation. But because 365 Days is an erotica, there are some scenes that do get a bit spicy, and it's
Mhm.
more delving into the character's like fight with her internal fight with Stockholm syndrome, essentially, and like
Mhm.
surviving and stuff. And I'm kind of hesitant to do that because it's and I have that published much like I did with The Unexpected because I'm just like I don't I don't want I don't want to I don't want to have to explain this to family members and stuff. And I actually, for my job now, I work in retail, but I work in a store that sells things that are a bit adult,
Ooh.
shall we say? I'm not gonna name the company or anything. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. We do other things that aren't adult, but like, there's adult things, and
Yeah.
you think I would be used to it by now because we see all different kinds of people coming in, like anywhere from like elderly couples to like drag queens. We get LGBTQ plus people. We get gay couples. We get like uni students. We get like just moms. Everything really. You think because of that I would be used to it, but I'm just like no, no, no. The idea of someone I know in real life reading this, I'm just
Uh-huh.
gonna like shut up and die. Honestly,
Honestly,
it's
I will say this much, all of my beta readers were people I knew. And it
Oh,
didn't click in my brain to go, oh, these people are gonna read this and then look at you and go, hmm. And I'm just like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that. Like my cousin, she read it and she just like she pulled me over at a family function. She was like, so when's book two coming out? And I'm like, well,
it's a bit
that's a good
supportive.
thing.
Like, I'm sure my mum would be supportive as well if I did do something like that. But I just have to tell her, I'm like, Mum, you need to sit down and you need to just know
I didn't give
it's
anybody a
gonna.
warning.
There was because in the unexpected there were closed scenes, there were closed sex scenes, but it was like closed door sex scenes. Sorry, that's the word. Um, but in this one, it's because it's like it's based on a book that's an erotica.
Hmm.
There's spicy scenes, and yeah, I'm just like I'm not gonna go full all the way with it
Yeah,
because it's like she's trying to escape, and it's like yeah, she has to get away, like
yeah.
so it's gonna be more focused on that, and there is gonna be like a few comedy bits in there as well, like one-liners and things that are just like wink, wink, nudge, nudge type thing, or poke the bear. But yeah, I think I'll get there with that one. It's I don't know. Yeah.
So honestly, best thing I can recommend when it comes to it, just write it. Like detach your brain from it and just see what your hands will just put out. Because the first scene I wrote, I I don't even know how it came out of me. It just kind of went. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, my boyfriend was sitting next to me and he was like, so what you writing? This is book one. And I'm like, I don't think you really want to know. And he's like, oh yeah, I do. And mind you, I'm in this, since we've already kind of said it, I'm in this like orgy scene. And I'm like, well, this is gonna be very awkward. And he's like, oh, just read it out loud to me. And I'm like, well, the kids are all in bed. All right. So I start reading it, and he's like, oh, he goes, are you trying to tell me something? And I'm like, no, 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 not at all. Just, and he's just like,
That's
well,
funny.
he goes, at least you didn't involve a vegetable in the process. And I'm just like, that leave it to you to ruin it. All right.
Oh,
But
that'd be brilliant.
I can't read the book aloud to anybody because I would go beat red, I would stutter, and then I'm like, okay, well, this is
Yeah,
just
I'd
me.
be just like, yeah, I'd be worried about getting in trouble or something as well. Like, I'd just be like, yeah, no,
And
just read it in your privacy.
it's funny that you say like you'd be worried about getting in trouble, but it is. It's kind of one of those things in your brain where you're just like, oh, am I good for this? Like, are people gonna like look at me differently? Are people gonna assume that I did physical research and not just online research? Um, and then also wording, making sure I'm not overusing certain
Certain words,
words.
certain terms.
Um,
Yeah, like,
but I sent off the beginning like 24 chapters to my best friend who happens to be my daughter's stepmom. And I'm like, I need your opinion here. And I sent it to him, and there's a scene in in the next book. It's kind of like your big ceremony crescendo, and all hell kind of breaks loose. But she's just like, I got her and my sister both reading it, and the two of them just went on like a whole, this evoked so much emotion that they ended up talking about their big days in this
oh,
text chat. And I'm just like, oh. And they were like, no, this is perfect, you just like, it was like memory unlocked. And I'm like, well, cool.
oh,
But
that's cute.
I also have the issue of, okay, how many sex scenes in a row is too many? Especially if it's like there's a progressional reason, because the next book there's like three with like a chapter break in between, but the way I broke it up was there was like a sexual tension moment, and then I swapped character point of views to somebody on the other side of the map. And then brought it right back in
Okay, that's
to
good.
the
Yeah,
scene, but through
yeah,
the other person's point of view. And I'm just
yeah.
like,
That sounds good. Because like that can be because sometimes some I know some people, especially not just in books but in like film or TV or even video games, character changes can be very jarring. One that I found was a little bit jarring, and some people might come for me for this, but was The Last of Us 2. Now,
mhm,
I absolutely love the Last of Us game series. The only issue I kind of had was because you're playing as two characters, Ellie and Abby. now their stories are intertwined, but the way that they tell the stories I thought was a bit jarring, because you have the gameplay where you're progressing through and then it's like it switches. But it's like, for me, I think they could have done it slightly differently, like put more into one, and then you have this big dramatic moment, then you switch to the other, and then you have to catch up to that moment, and then you're like, oh wow, it all fits all together. And I think that would have been like a little bit better. But apart from that, I loved it. But that's really cool that you can still keep the tension going, even if you're switching with characters that are like on the other side of a map, or whatever, or the other side of your world that you've created. That's cool.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I
Clearly doing something right.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping, because I just did the Stuff Your Kindle day back on the first, because it was the fantasy day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna release it for a day, see what happens, and the amount of downloads it got, I was like, oh, okay, well this is a good thing. Um, but I'm hoping to see some reviews out of it to see like what people liked. And everybody's like, "Oh, authors just ignore the reviews. Don't do it. Don't put yourself through those," you know, and I'm like, I'm curious, and curiosity killed
I
the cat.
Yeah, yeah, I like to hear. I do like to hear. I love to hear feedback from people. It's when it doesn't make sense, or when if I ask for a little bit more, that to like a bit more explanation to understand it, or to have some examples, then I don't get a response. That just makes me ah like it
Yeah.
just makes me a bit. How am I supposed to improve if you're not giving examples? Like, oh, you had a punctuation error. Okay, cool. Where, please? And then they don't respond, and I'm just
Yes. I
like, how
I
am I
actually
supposed to? Ugh.
I feel this. I'm actually reading a book series now that there is so much grammar and punctuation issues, but it's such a popular book. And I'm like, how has this
Mm,
not been fixed? And it's the Kindle
mm.
Unlimited, and I want to reach out to the author and be like, "Hey, here's a couple pages where I saw some punctuation issues. I think you might want to fix them a little bit, just because it
Mhm.
is like you've got quotes around like a big paragraph, but there's no end quote. There's a period, and then the talking stops. It goes into description, and then like two paragraphs down, then you get that closing quote, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah. I think like saying something like that, like, "Hey, I am reading the story. It's really, really good," or whatever. However, I've just oh Jesus, sorry, my door clicked. I've just
You're
noticed
good.
that there's a couple of little punctuation errors and stuff. I still think it's a really great book. Please
Oh
don't
yeah,
take this the wrong way type thing. You just have to be polite about it, and just
it's all how you
even
word
give
things.
examples like, "Oh, it's on this page," or "It's in this chapter." It's like that. That's easy enough to do. Like the first edition copy of my book, The Unexpected, there was a spelling mistake in chapter 5, and my mum was like, "There's a spelling mistake." I was like, "Ah, okay, thank you," and I went and changed it. Like, I appreciate that stuff. Like, to
I,
me, that's
I
yeah,
do
that's
too.
people. Yeah, to me, that's people that's just looking out and wanting me to improve and stuff, and genuinely wanting to help, not just being nasty or being negative. Like, they're giving constructive criticism, and that's how you should do it.
And that is perfect. I actually had somebody go, hey, Crystal, just a heads up, chapter 6 and 7 are repeating. And I went, what do you mean repeating? And they were like, they're the same chapter. And I went, huh? Sure enough, go in to check the manuscript, and I guess when it was uploading, it duplicated chapter 6 and made it chapter 6 and 7. So there was like two chapter 7s,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh no, quickly like remove that. And
Yeah.
and it sucks because all of my physical copies that I bought have all have a double chapter, and I'm like,
Ah,
languages
that's
that
weird.
come out of my mouth when I found out, I was very upset. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, this is the one thing that I'm like, I wanted my debut to be perfect, and it
Mm,
wasn't. And now I'm like, ah. So that's also kind of like a deflate to the bubble of like
yeah, it's
happiness.
yeah.
Um, so we've just kind of like been going through this. I love this.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
so when you first published, did you go indie or were you picked up?
Uh, so I've always been indie. The we have published to start earning from. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
Oh,
oh, we
sorry
lost
about
you
that.
there.
It just
There you
connected to my Raycons. Out of the blue.
go.
Can you just?
Yeah, we're good.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I can hear you. It's fine. But yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I did that first, and I was just I really liked the process. It was a challenging process, but it was a rewarding one. I felt like when I finally had the copy and it was like it's finally here, it's like, yeah, this has been worth it. But before that, I was on a couple of platforms. One of them was Inkit, the one that was before Wattpad. But don't get me started about Wattpad. Just don't do it.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
no disrespect to anyone who writes on Wattpad, but don't like them anyway. But yeah, I've always just been on platforms like that, and yeah, I'm liking where I am now in terms of being indie. If I ever did have the opportunity to go traditional, I would be as well. Like, I would have a nice healthy mixture of both. I do know a couple of people who are like that, and that's really really cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I about to say, I actually think I have Wattpad, or I had it when I was younger, and I think I lost my login stuff for it. So I'm pretty sure I have like a story on there that's just kind of just floating in midair somewhere. Uh, I actually have
Mm.
it's so funny I talk about this and everybody's like, "Oh, what's this?" I used to use Gaia Online, and it's like an online community with like you get these little cute little avatars and whatnot. And they had a journaling system. And in that journaling system, I wrote my first story, and
Oh,
I can't remember how to get into it.
oh no! Can you not like
Yeah.
contact them and be like, please help?
So because the account had gone inactive for so long, they deleted the account in
Oh
its entirety.
no!
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
That was a gut-wrenching moment where I was just like, it's all gone. And we're talking like I wrote a chapter in this in each like for 365 days I wrote a chapter
Oh
every day.
wow.
So I was just like, oh, that's gone. And the worst part is I had no backup, I had no save.
Oh, always back at your work. Oh, I
I
did
was
that as well.
17. I didn't know any better.
I booked up all of my work when I decided to leave Wattpad. First thing I was doing, because there was some stuff that happened. I had started to save all of my backups in Word documents on my computer, and I still have them. And yeah, I know that Inkit does let you download any books that, excuse me, that you, if you choose to leave, they delete your account if you're found to violate guidelines. They do let you download your work again, but Wattpad don't. Wattpad don't. Yep, they don't. They've literally just Thanos clicked lots of work out of existence.
Oh no.
But yeah, they've done also stuff themselves that violate guidelines, and they'll allow other books that violate guidelines if they're popular enough, and it's just
That's
okay.
frustrating.
So yeah, I'm not going to get into a Wattpad
No,
hate train.
I
I'm
don't
not
blame
gonna
you.
do that. Yeah, literally. But yeah, I always back up everything, guys. Even on Amazon, I have all my backups saved on Word documents and everything. I don't trust no one.
No, I don't blame you. I don't. I know I plan on sitting down and putting everything, because my series is 5 books and I just figured out the title for the last one, which I haven't even
Ooh.
started them, but I have the last three titles for the last three books. And the last book I just found that like I don't know what happened. It was like an aha click moment. I was like, why didn't I just think of this to begin with? And I was like, okay, do I put this all onto Amazon as like, hey, just so you know, there's still three more books in this series after the May release? But I'm like, do I do that to myself or not? And that's another question. Like, do you, when you have like a series, would you put out the entire like this is how many books, or would you just hold off and release like as it gets closer to the release dates?
I think I would say at the end of the book, I'd hint at something coming. I do like this coming soon, like more to come soon or something. I'd leave like a little hint, but I wouldn't put it on Amazon. I wouldn't do that because I feel that there would be a bit of pressure to like publish or whatever. Like Amazon would maybe send you notifications or whatever, and you just get pressured. Or like I feel like maybe if you had it advertised and it took you a bit to get the sequel out, maybe some people would get a bit annoyed by that. Like, oh, the sequel's not here. Why is it advertised as a sequel? And the sequel's been, it's like taking 10 years for a sequel to come. What is this? Who do they think they are? Like, what is this? But yeah.
We all know a book like that the ending's still not out even though the show's done. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go there. I will say this much. Everybody's like, "Oh, you like Lord of the Rings, you like fantasy, you like Dragonlance. Did you watch Game of Thrones?" And I went, "Mm-mm."
No,
I
no.
made one episode and I was just like, I'm not. And the main reason, and when I put this into perspective for a lot of people, a couple people are like, okay, that makes sense. I don't like jumping into something that has such hype right at that time because it has a tendency to fall flat towards the end. So I wait until it's closer to the end before kind of getting into things. Like
Yeah.
Supernatural was out for 5 years before I was like, okay, I'm jumping in. It's still
I've
going. And I
still
mean,
not watched that yet. I've still not. I've seen bits of it. My mum likes that, and a couple of my friends do. But I've never watched it. And people are like, "You never watch it?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm a green girl, babe." But like I've never got round to it. And Game of Thrones as well. I watched one episode, and I feel like Game of Thrones is definitely one of those shows, like Supernatural, like The Walking Dead. You have to watch it from the start because when I watch this part of this one episode, it's like, "Whoa, what's going on? Why are there naked people? Why are children dying? Why is there an old woman
yes.
getting burned? Going
Oh,
on. Like there's so much happening, and it's like, I'm no, no, thank you, no, thank you.
well, so with Supernatural, I mean, truth be told, you could probably pick up later on in the series and still not miss anything. But luckily everything I think is all on Netflix now. Like the entire series there's like it's 15 seasons, which is great. How that the last season was done during COVID, and I don't want to say that it's obvious. You can tell that the last couple episodes were definitely filmed during COVID, but the way that they ended it not only had me in tears, and I mean like sobbing uncontrollably. The
um,
ending, like you think it's over, you're waiting for the credits to hit, and then it flashes back up where they leave off at the end of the episode, and the two main characters, Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, they thank you for following their journey for 15 years. And then when the drone pans out, you have this entire like thank you at the end. You're just like, and me, I'm sobbing uncontrollably. I have one episode left that I have not seen. And everybody's like, well, why don't you watch it? And I'm like, because when I watch it, then it's over. And I don't want it to
yeah.
be over. I always want there
Or
to be
you can
that
just
one
rewatch, you can just
episode.
rewatch it again. But yeah, I've had that as well with one of my favorite show, Into the Badlands. It came out. It was before COVID. It was a dystopian martial arts drama. It's set in this alternate world where there's the Badlands is made up of different sections that are run by barons. Guns are banned. There's this power thing that's going on. So there's elements of fantasy to it, and it was made by the people that made The Walking Dead, and it was very loosely based on Journey to the West, which is the story from Chinese folklore with the Monkey King and that. And it was so good. It took me 5 minutes and one amazing fight scene to get into the show, right? And it got cancelled.
Oh, I
And
hate that.
my heart broke. I at the end of the episode because you could tell, right? They were building it up to be something so big, and I was just like, I was in shock. I couldn't move, and then I got really sad because it's like they're never going to be able to continue this. But I did see some of the actors and the writers as well, because the writers behind it were Miles Miller and Alfred Goff, who did Wednesday,
Mhm.
and some of the actors that were in it were in other things. But I saw hit them, the main actor and another one of the actors, all together talking about it, and I freaked out. I freaked out. I was on a game to my friends, and I literally stopped the game. I was like, just freaking out, freaking out, freaking out. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, they're doing something with this. But it really annoyed me because it was like a chess game. Everything that was going on was like it all was linking up together, and it was just when you thought that you knew everything about this world, there's something else, or there's something else, and there's
Mhm.
something else, and it's like you could tell they still had so much to do and so much to give, but then they will AMC were like, oh no, cancel it, cancel
So
it.
I'm wondering if it has to do with production costs because one of my favorite shows was Terra Nova, and they left it at the worst cliffhanger possible. And I really don't even know how to explain it, but it was fantasy. They're trying to survive in the past with like dinosaurs and
Mhm.
everything like that. And there's one portal that takes you to the present day, and the world is like pretty much dying and destroyed in present day. So they're sending back people to get resources and whatnot and try to cultivate living in the past. Well, it ends as like something catastrophic happens to the portal, and you're just like, okay, next season, next season, next season, and then nothing. And you're like,
Oh my
they
God,
they
that's the
canceled it.
worst.
And
But
the worst part about it
oh,
is Netflix offered to pick it up. They offered to pick it up. They offered
I
the
wish they
budget,
did that with the Badlands. There was a
and
whole ad campaign. Oh,
they offered the budget because Terra Nova got canceled because budget plan. They to produce the show was up in the
God.
millions. And they were like, we can't do this. Like CW was
Oh,
like, we can't do this. Netflix offered it. The problem was is they wanted to leave where it was being produced at the time, and I think take them to Norway or Iceland, somewhere like that. They wanted to take them away from where they were, and the director was like, "No." So
what?
you, yeah, exactly. Like you
What?
literally leave all these people stranded just because you don't want to make a little move. I mean, I get it. There might have been other
They've been
things.
taught that Norway's nice. The people are nice. I know people from Norway.
That's
Oh,
but so like I don't understand if maybe it was just maybe there was images with the actors, some of the writers couldn't do it. Maybe I don't know if that was it. Like there might have been like a bigger decision, but the
mhm.
director was just like, no, and that was all we got was just that he just
Oh,
declined it.
God.
And I'm like, this man is not like this company is offering you millions to redo it. Just do it. I guess because
Oh.
that was right before Netflix took over doing shows. And honestly, I'm wondering if Terra Nova is biting themselves in the ass for not picking it up, especially after, watching with The Witcher and things like that. So it's like,
Yeah, and like they've done a few times where they cancelled Shadow and Bone as well, and that was one that was proving quite popular. I liked
hmm
that as well. Like this, especially I started watching that because there's an actor that was in that was in Into the Badlands, and he's one of my favorite actors. He's such a cool and dedicated action star, and he's like very good looking as well, and he's born in Manchester, so yeah, it was such a shame. But with Into the Badlands, I think it was different. I think it was um because despite the fact that it only had 3 seasons and it didn't have as many views as The Walking Dead, it was getting the same or better reviews like on IMDb and like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. So it's like I don't have any evidence of it, but it's just like conspiracy theory. It's like
yeah.
Into the Badlands was low key a bit of a threat. And I'll tell you for why I also thought this. There was a show called Z Nation.
I
It
know
was
Z
set in
Nation.
yeah. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel. Despite the fact it was at the time the most watched show on the Sci-Fi Channel, it got cancelled.
Yep.
And it's like that's zombies. So it's like, these are two shows that are like threatening The Walking Dead, and they've got cancelled without
Yep.
explanation.
I had that same
Like,
thought process with Z Nation
yeah,
as
it was
well.
just like,
I stopped watching
ugh,
Walking Dead. So I
I'm,
don't know if it's
I'm
just
not a
the
fan.
author and writer brain in me that dislikes this, but I have issues of books being turned into movies and films and butchering them. So,
Mm.
a prime example. I don't know if you've watched The Vampire Diaries, but I read the books and they're literally simple little things that you could have been changed. Like the girl who plays Nina Dobrev, she's the girl who plays Elena. Elena's supposed to be this blonde, perky, cheerleader.
Oh,
Well, Caroline is supposed to be the brunette cheerleader that's like, okay, yeah, I'm chill. That's in the book. Now when it goes to real life, they swapped characters. They made Caroline the blonde, perky cheerleader and Nina and Elena the brunette. And I'm just like, but why? That and then,
yeah, it's a bit weird when they sometimes do that. Like, I
they're
get
minor
maybe
things.
making a change to, I get maybe making a change to make things a lot cooler or to like add a little bit of something to it. Or like in The Walking Dead, they added Daryl in the show. No more explanation needed.
No,
Daryl
none.
Dixon.
But so
But like, yeah.
that's okay because that gives that gives the writer something to play with that doesn't
Mhm.
take away from the story. But in Walking Dead, they they changed a lot from the comics, and you're just like,
Yeah, like I read the
thanks.
comic. I got up to the bit where just before when Negan turned up in the comics, and then I've still got the next one, but I haven't got around to reading it yet. And it was like, yeah, this is a lot different.
Different.
And I'm just kind of like, well, the guy that wrote it is very he was involved,
Yeah.
semi-involved, so he must be okay. So it's like in those circumstances, I think it's fine. But when it's like it's so different that it's like it's just not the same show, I'm like, nah, you've lost me, mate. You've absolutely lost me. Like,
Or they
but
omit
yeah,
big details out of from the books to
yeah,
the
or they
shows.
change it completely where it's like it's just not the same thing.
My biggest rant is Twilight. And everybody's like, well, why is that your biggest rant? I'm like, well, because you leave out one main character's backstory that's in the book, but you leave it off screen. I'm sorry. Am I the only one that wanted to see Alice's confrontation against James? Because, we all who read it were like, isn't that who made her? And that's the guy that created her and abandoned her? Why are you
Yeah.
not giving us this? And then I read Midnight Sun. I got, I want to say 3/4 of the book before I finally just DNF'd it, which is horrible to say because I read through all of the books,
Mm.
even The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. And she changed the book, even though Midnight Sun is based off of Twilight through Edward's perspective. She
Mm-hmm.
changed key details in the book to base it off the movie, not the original book.
Huh?
Uh-huh. If you go back and watch Twilight and
I
read Twilight, there's some key details that are very different. And then when you read Midnight Sun, you realize that Midnight Sun's based off of the movie, not off of the
that's just
book.
yeah, that's confusing. I didn't I watched Twilight. There were bits where I thought like I like the locations and stuff. Like that was really cool, and they obviously had a really cool budget and stuff. But it just wasn't for me. And I remember in primary school. Now, slight obviously UK we have primary school. You start primary school at about the age of 6 or 7, and you finish when you're 11 years old. 11.
Yeah.
There were 11-year-olds in my class reading Twilight. I was like, yeah, I was like one of the girls that was like, no, I don't want to. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And then because it was the hype was coming out, and I remember a year or so afterwards, we watched the films, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
how did they get away with reading that like in school? It was just a bit like,
So
okay,
it's so funny that you say that because I never asked your age and I just aged myself there because Twilight came out when I was in right after I graduated high school. And so
oh,
that was just a blow. I'm like, oh, but I was hogtied and carried into that film. I did not want to watch it. I had no desire
I just
because
tried to
it was
get
so
into
popular.
learning it. I just tried to get into it to be like, okay, what's all the fuss about? But I was just like, nah. I like my vampires scary. I don't mind Anne Rice vampires. I like them more. I'm
Give
more
me
the
my
line of
Lost Boys.
give me Dracula, literally. Just give me that. I did quite like it. It's same with werewolves. I'm just like, yeah, I want scary werewolves. I'm sorry. And I would say though, between recent times I've seen in terms of like vampires and werewolves, the scary ones seem to be coming back because
Mhm.
there's things like Resident Evil, oh the one not the one not Biohazard the Village. I think it was the one afterwards that was set in like Eastern Europe where there were werewolves and stuff. And there's also a game series called well, not a series, sorry, a game. It's kind of in a series, but it's like it's not. It's like the spiritual sequel or successor. I think the company called it. It's called The Quarry, and that's got scary werewolves in it. And I'm just like here for it, here for it, here for it. Like I love it. I love it.
One of my favorite series is it's actually funny is it's Underworld because the vampires are they show like a more tactical portion, but they're
Mhm.
scary-ish. But your werewolves are scary, and it's so hysterical because I refuse to believe that Aro from Twilight is Lucian from Underworld. So he played a werewolf first in a vampire movie, and now he's playing the evil vampire in the vampire movie, and you're just like, no.
That's funny.
But
Funny.
he's absolutely one of my favorites. So I just
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
it's it's funny how things change and then there's trends even in that portion of the world where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
we had our zombie hit from what, like 2010 to like 2015. People started tapering off Walking Dead. I think that's why they're finally ending it, where it did
Yeah, it was
just
like
end.
it was The Walking Dead. There was The Last of Us. There was Z Nation, not Z Nation. Yeah, Z Nation. World War Z. It was. I think it was coming off the back of like 28 days later or 28
Oh,
weeks later.
so
Um,
good.
yeah, and we had Shaun of the Dead as well. But
I
yeah, I
love
think
Shaun of the Dead,
I
which
love
is funny
Nick
because it's a
Frost was also
parody.
in Into the Badlands. Nick Frost and Daniel Wu are an underrated comedy duo, and anyone you need to go watch Into the Badlands to see their dynamic. It's just
I
fantastic.
love
Like
Nick
it's just
Frost.
yeah,
See,
he's wonderful.
mine was always Nick Frost and, and Simon Pegg because the two of them together are just like, yes, yes.
They are our most underrated, or they are the most underrated comedy duo in this country, and I will fight anyone that says different. Literally, like they're so underrated.
They
Yeah.
are. They are, which is sad because I love all their movies. So yeah,
Mm.
there's that. Um, so we managed to blow through an hour already.
Oh my god! Wow, this is so fun.
I looked at the time and I was like, oh, okay, we already hit this. Well,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Um,
Wow, this has been so fun though.
this has, and I would love to have you on again later in the year,
Oh,
just maybe to promote
thank
some
you
new
so
stuff
much.
for you.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
real quick, do you want to give a shout out or say anything that you want people to look at for you?
Just obviously check out The Unexpected. It's available on Amazon, Apple Books, and Inkit subscription. The cheapest option, if you wanted to read it, is on Inkit subscription. It's just £1.99 in Great British pounds. Please also go give the Writers Community promotion page a follow on Instagram. Feel free to get involved with free promotion. We do book recommendation groups, a writers group as well. All of it is for free. All of it's real. Please, please, please go and get involved. And yeah, thank you very much for your time, Krystal. This has been so fun.
This has been so fun. I thank you so much for spending this last hour with me. It blew by so fast. So,
Oh, I like
uh,
that.
but yeah, everyone, go ahead and go give her pages a follow. Go check out her books, and can't wait to see you guys next time.
Thank
Later.
you. Bye.